What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Live here on a Thursday night. I hope you had a good Thursday. Today, we have another chill September stream. The streams in September are pretty relaxed. It's really the only relaxing month of the year in terms of discussing Blazers basketball. October, of course, will hit the preseason and will ramp up to the regular season. Now, it's still not super relaxed. You know, a bunch of previous streams have been about Ben Simmons trade rumors, and the Blazers made the Larry Nance trade and all that, and you have some signings. We're going to talk about Patterson coming in on a training camp deal today, so you still got some news, you still got some action, we still got some things to talk about, and there's going to be a segment in the stream that isn't going to be totally relaxed. Eric told me he wants to go on a little mini rant, so I know you guys are excited for that. Let's give a round of applause for Eric's rants. They are always awesome. I have no idea what it's going to be about, so I'm in the same boat as you guys. I don't know what's coming up. Eric just said there might be a little mini rant coming, so I am down. It can break up the monotony of September. So anyway, Eric, what's good, man?
Just enjoyed football being back tonight. Great game between the Bucks and the Cowboys, even though your guy Zeke didn't do very well. But other than that, it was a very enjoyable game.
To be expected. It's the top run defense from last year. Their secondary was banged up. I wasn't encouraged going into this matchup. I'm already getting... He was my first-round draft pick in fantasy. I'm already getting people offering fourth-round picks straight up for my first-round pick after week one, thinking I'm going to take that. No, I'm playing a long game with him. And shout out to anybody who had Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, Eric on your bench. and CD Lamb. Those guys went off.
Yeah, I got Lamar Jackson. He'll be fine.
Yeah, but I needed a quarterback. Oh, man. Eric's backup quarterback is better than my starting quarterback in our league. I got Matt Stafford. I would have taken Dak Prescott with my next pick, but Eric wants him as his backup. So hopefully Lamar Jackson, for your case, can drop a cold 32 just like Dak did for you tonight. But this isn't a football channel. This is basketball. But go ahead. Where do you want to lead off?
Mike says Eric's going to rant about Dame's last post on Instagram. Why would I rant about that?
That would be a happy rant.
Yeah,
that would be what's the opposite of like a rant?
Well, I'm not like pissed off or anything. I'm just going to lay something on the line.
Okay. Yeah, it's like it's a chill rant.
Yeah. But regarding that Instagram post, I mean, we've been talking all offseason about how we're not really worried about Dame. That was all overblown. Henry Abbott looks like an absolute tool. The guy lied. He made up a source, or his source was incorrect. Dame told him it was incorrect, and he still doubled down and then tripled down on it. That's an absolute joke of a reporter. That guy should be banned from being a legit journalist again, because that is just... That guy owes Dame an apology, and he should have apologized when Dame called him out to begin with, or just said, my bad, I got a bad source, or whatever. That's all it would have took, and it would have ended all that. But instead, he had to say, like, no, I trust my source. You definitely told that. Dame didn't go into USA camp and tell everyone that he was going to demand a trade. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It was just, like, anyone who believed that crap, it's just... This wasn't even my rant, but I guess I'm ranting now.
Yeah, I was like, wait, is this the rant or is this a little preview?
But yeah, so all those guys, you know, you have these articles from guys like Sean Highkin saying, oh, there's this battle in the front office. Jody wants to hire Becky Hammond, and Olshey wants to hire Chauncey Billups. Who's going to get their way? And one of them's not going to be happy, and all this crap. Like, all this stuff, those people all made up stories all summer just to, like, trash the team. And it's disgusting the way that some of the media has portrayed this offseason. And it's one thing if you don't like the moves or any of that stuff, like, totally understand that if you want to, like, logically lay out your thing. But don't make up crap to do it. It's just, that's so stupid. I'm so glad Dame shut that up. And actually, he pretty much couldn't demand a trade after he went at Henry Abbott. So once again, I'd like to thank him again for doing that. But yeah, it's crazy to me how legit, or people who think they're legit writers, actually made up crap this summer and thought it was like newsworthy and that they could like pull one over on people. It's just, It's just disgusting, man.
Yeah, I agree, and I got so many things to respond to. First off, the grand return of Eric B. ranting is here tonight for all you to enjoy. As far as like him Dame, even if he demanded a trade, the last way he would do it would be going into Team USA camp and like not just going directly to the organization quietly and demanding a trade. You know what I mean? Like Dame's style isn't to cause a scene. It's not to like. Dame would have dealt with that directly with the front office. It wouldn't have been, some circus at Team USA camp, right?
He wouldn't have been out leaking information.
Yeah, like that's not Dame's style, and that's obvious. And the fact that some people question whether or not that was true, it's like, do we not know the guy that we drafted all the way back in 2012? Do we not know him as a person by now? That was a takeaway that I had with a lot of Blazer fans. It's like, you really think he'd go about it in that sort of way? I never understood that. And I'm cool with people being unhappy with the offseason, like, for, like, objective reasons, right? Like, I'm okay with the offseason. I understand why people would have wanted CJ traded and aren't happy that CJ hasn't been traded. I can see why people would want Ben Simmons, even though I don't want him, right? There's a difference between, like, just... You can understand somebody even if you disagree with them. You can understand a viewpoint even if you don't share that viewpoint. And I feel like that gets lost where it's like, my viewpoint is correct. Anybody else who sees things differently is ridiculous, right? And I mean, I'm probably guilty of acting like that sometimes here and there. But overall, it's like, I try and understand where people are coming from. And you can have a different viewpoint and it can make sense even if I don't agree with it. But that's different, completely different than the way a lot of people covered this offseason, the storylines they made up, Jody going over Neil's head, all this stuff about Dame. Like, we talked about it all offseason, and I tweeted out yesterday basically kind of calling that sort of stuff out. Like, if you're sitting here and basically trying to start a crusade against anybody who's excited going into next season, that's ridiculous. Like, I can respect people not being super happy with this past offseason. Just respect people that are optimistic too. You can have a problem with this past offseason. Just respect that some people are excited and think we're going to be a good team next year. But it's like we have Blazer fans that basically will start a crusade against anybody that's optimistic or positive about this team going into the season. And that's just silly to me. It's like, how are you a Blazer fan and you're going to basically, how are you a Blazer fan and you're going to go do that? I don't understand that. And then it's almost like a lot of Blazer fans either wanted Dame to ask out so Olshey would look bad, or they just ran with any negative narrative they can, or they ran with any negative narrative that they could without even thinking about it. So, Dame's whispering at Team USA camp that he wants out. Oh, well, Dame's going to demand a trade. Olshey messed this one up without thinking, Dame wouldn't go about it in that way, right? Yep. I don't understand how people, are diehard Blazer fans and fans of the organization and, go about their fandom in that sort of way. So that's what I was tweeting out yesterday. That's completely different than not being happy with the offseason. That's completely fine. It's just all that extra stuff that I don't understand. And, of course, I get people in my mentions like, you're a moron for thinking that people can't be Blazer fans if they're unhappy with the offseason, and just taking things completely out of context and, making it personal. And that's Twitter for you. But, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like me and you, Eric, just kind of calmly guided our viewers through the chaos and everywhere around us. Every other platform that cover the Blazers is just freaking out. Everything's on fire. Everybody's freaking out. And me and you and our fan base or subscriber base or whatever you want to call it, it was like we were just walking through the middle of the chaos, just like, nothing to see here. we're okay. And now we're on the other side of that, and everybody that was freaking out all offseason is now they don't know what to do. Now they don't know what to say.
I mean, I said the Henry Abbott thing was BS before Dame even said it, so... but as Killer54 says in chat there, Olshey Burner is this dude that's such an unoriginal, lame, Cody Zeller, that's a great signing for the minimum. Oh, you must be Olshey Burner then trying to promote that on here. It's like, no, that's a good pickup. No one can think anything good about it. Any move he makes, you're an Olshey Burner, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
come up with an original comeback at least. Come on, guys.
Just have a conversation, man. Say
Yeah.
why you don't think he's a good pickup. Like, why is just anything positive? See, that's what I'm talking about. The crusade against anything positive. It's like if you say anything positive, you're an Olshey burner. That's a perfect example for what I was talking about in my tweet yesterday. It's just silly to me.
And two things with Zach. So one is he says the same Blazer fans were the ones that called us negative all last year. And, I mean, we backed up. We weren't just calling people who, we weren't just out to say, like, oh, we hate Stotts, like, we're just going to trash him or whatever. Like, we gave legit reasons why it wasn't going to work out. And now it's like, all those people who were supporting Stotts are now, like, raging on the team and stuff and are way more negative than we ever were. And we had legit reasons for being negative.
All of our criticism was thought through logically.
Yeah.
I have no problem with, like, logical criticism. Never. I will never have a problem, even if I don't agree with that. I will never have a problem with it if you just think it through logically and you make a logical point. And that's all our criticism of the coaching and everything around that last season. I felt like it was very, very logical.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is a lot of people are missing that logic.
Here's part two with Zach. So he had an article. BlazersUprise.com if you want to start reading some of the articles if you haven't been there already. But Zach had an article from a couple days ago that was about how he feels there's some parallels between the Blazers and Milwaukee being in a small market and trying to build around a superstar and stuff. And you have people like just being like, they're not even in the same realm. But it's like they attack Zach, not like just, that's fine if you don't agree, but like just break it down. Like, this is why I disagree that the Bucks and Blazers aren't the same because of the X, Y, and Z. You don't have to be like, oh, this like stupid article, that kind of stuff is ridiculous.
Here's the problem I have with people, and it's like you're looking at Milwaukee's a small market that kept their superstar that won a championship, right? Portland is a small market trying to keep their superstar. Like, just because you compare two organizations doesn't mean that you're saying the talent level is exactly the same. But it's like if you make any sort of comparison like that, people will jump on it like, wow, they're not even in the same realm. How could you even think Portland is as good as Milwaukee talent-wise? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think the talent's even as far off as people say, so I'm not even trying to make an argument about that. It's just like any sort of comparison, even if you're just talking about small market teams with the top 10 player, which Milwaukee and Portland both are, people will extrapolate that into something that they can argue and bash in their crusade against positivity. Yeah. And it's just that's basically what my tweet was based on yesterday. Shout out to our riders, man. If you're riding for us, you're gonna get people out there that'll just be silly about stuff. So I'll stand up for our riders and whatnot. But just know that it's a platform, and you're gonna have people that might just be kind of silly and say some stuff like that. So don't, to anybody who's riding for us, don't let it bother you.
And we got 503 for the fans who isn't really involved with this channel, but he's pretty big on Twitter, right? He's one of the bigger Blazer accounts, right? And he'll tweet something like, "Oh, Patrick Patterson, that's a solid pickup for a training camp invitee," and he just gets clobbered with people coming at him like, Patrick Patterson sucks. Like, why would you ever even say that? It's just like that guy is mostly positive about the Blazers with his tweets and stuff, and even he's getting like attacked daily on all this stuff. It's just crazy right now.
Yeah.
He's not even affiliated with us. He's just been. I mean, he became anti-Stotts, but heading into last season, he was very pro Stotts and had a lot of, like I said, mostly positive tweets and stuff. And yeah, now it's like he can't even do that anymore.
Yeah, it's like all those people that were rocking with him because he was somebody that was supportive of Stotts are now the same people saying the stuff on that sort of tweet and just, attacking him for thinking that Patrick Patterson is a solid pickup. He's on a training camp deal, Eric. A training camp deal. And people are bashing those who say, oh, it's a solid signing for a training camp deal.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's just ridiculous at this point. I mean, I don't know if other fan bases are like this quite to this extent, man, or I don't know if it's just a Portland thing, but my goodness. I don't get it, man. So Twitter, it's September, right? Just chill. Like, maybe you wanted CJ trade. Maybe you're frustrated with the offseason. Just chill and go into next season and just be hopeful. Like, okay, hopefully this works out. Hopefully I'm wrong and this roster is better than I think, right? You've said that. You say we've said hopefully Stotts proves us wrong and is a better coach because that'll mean better things for the organization, right? I wasn't rooting for Stotts to fail. I wanted what was best for the organization because I'm a diehard Blazer fan. I don't feel that same energy from portions of this fan base right now.
I mean, both of us, you probably bought it a little more than me, but we both were hopeful. He came out and said, Stotts, the beginning of last season, I know I have to change my schemes. I know we have to do things differently, especially on the defensive end, all that kind of stuff last year. And we gave him a chance to do that. You gave him a little longer leash than I did, but we both were hoping that would happen, right? And all throughout the season, when we noticed that this wasn't happening and the same stuff that had plagued us in years past that Stotts himself said he needed to change and fix were not getting fixed, and that ended up being our downfall last year, and we saw that coming the entire year. But we were willing to give him a chance knowing that he said what needed to be changed, and he didn't do that. So that's when we got really... If you are bad, but you have good intentions and you try everything to be good and you go down swinging, and that was my main problem with Stotts. I felt like he didn't even, like, he gave up on the team towards the end of last season, didn't even try anything different. So it's just frustrating to me that that's comparable to, like, O'Shea's not trying to mess up this team. Like, that's the narrative. Like, oh, he wants to mess it up and make Dame leave so he can build around CJ or whatever. like that's not what's happening. O'Shea wants to win a title. He doesn't want to, like, go down as being some villain or some clown that ruined Dame's career in Portland or made him leave. Like, he doesn't want that to happen. So, like, there's no way, like, any of these moves are designed to make sure that Dame leaves. And he's not making a trade because he doesn't want to make a trade. It's because, like, he hasn't found the right trade yet. So you can say, like, well, he's just adverse to taking risks, which is fine. If you want to think that way, fine. But that doesn't mean he's not, like, out there actively seeking trades or talking to Philadelphia right now about Ben Simmons or whatever the case might be. It's not like he's not out there, like, actually talking to GMs or anything. He's not just sleeping right now.
Yeah, and it's a bunch of people that don't know the first thing about being a GM in the NBA. They don't know the first thing about... I mean, you don't need to know about trade rules to kind of be knowledgeable about players in a deal, but it's like they'll throw out trades out there. They'll be mad at him for not trading CJ for Aaron Gordon, man. Like, oh, goodness. Thank goodness we didn't do that. Like, how does that trade solve anything in the playoffs last year? I don't understand that. I don't know.
Well, we would have had Aaron Gordon, and then we would have,
because he won them the series.
Denver
right?
wouldn't have had CJ, and if we picked up Austin Rivers, Denver wouldn't have had Austin Rivers either.
Bro, so. They're saying we should have. Bro, they were saying we should have paid $50 million, like, for Austin Rivers. They were saying we should have we would have went into the repeater tax, which would have made our luxury tax penalties harsher this year. It would have added up to like $50 million to sign Austin Rivers last year for $3 million for last season. And there was people, CBA experts, saying, well, I don't care, we need to do it. Dude, people were legitimately suggesting for 2 months of Austin Rivers that we basically shell out $50 million in total money. Yeah, my goodness. I'm not one to sit here and, care about the owner's pocketbook, but if you're talking about $50 million for 2 months of Austin Rivers, nah, don't do it. Like, even if you might help the team slightly, you're not, like, don't pay $50 million to help the team very, very slightly. You know what I mean? Like, that's just ridiculous. Because it's like, then they're going to be tighter with their pocketbooks in future seasons, so they're not paying harsher luxury tax penalties, and it's going to come back to bite us in the future. So, that sort of stuff. I mean...
Well, that same person also would have said, oh, great, another 6'2" guard or whatever.
Another 6'2" guard who can't play defense.
After recommending we sign him.
Yeah. Because he was the same guy that was okay with taking the risk on Derrick Jones Jr. and then a year later was calling it an idiotic signing. Mm-hmm. When a year prior, he said he was okay with it. So and that just goes to show you.
Sign and trade Whiteside to, like, Cleveland or Detroit for Blake Griffin or
right on with a lot of stuff, from kind of calling the situation, saying Derrick Jones Jr. needed to opt in so we could use him as a trade piece. I threw out Larry Nance Jr. as a trade target that I really liked. I called the Norman Powell trade a few hours before it happened on trade deadline day. I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back or whatnot. It's just like there's so many bad takes out there, and this is your place to come for stuff that is logical. Anyway, any other part of that you want to talk about, or do you want to get into your actual rant?
I think we're lagging.
Are we lagging? I think we're lagging slightly. Internet's been a little bit more spotty, but I think we are fine.
I've been frozen for about three minutes or so.
You're not frozen on my screen. What do you mean?
Oh, really? Maybe it's just mine.
I think it's yours. I think we're fine.
Beavis said we're lagging. Oh, I think.
Well, Beavis lags all the time, bro. So,
yeah, that's true.
And that's probably Beavis.
That was hard lag for me for a bit. Says.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
I mean, yeah. I think it was just hiccups. Good old hiccups.
I will go on my rant in a second. Let's get these donations. Anime Jake, $5 says, an anonymous source has told me that I have a training camp deal with the Blazers. I am so excited. I will probably be used to trade for Ben Simmons. Well, you can't be traded if you're signed, but...
Bro, I wouldn't even trade Anime Jake for Ben Simmons, okay?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But Anime Jake is too valuable.
You're good, Anime Jake. If you sign this offseason, you can't be traded until December 15th, so you're good. You'll be on the Blazers if you make that roster, so good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And then on Christmas Day, so Olshey can try and make the move go under the radar, he will trade you to Philadelphia, and then you get booed constantly. Have fun with that. And then Daniel G, $5 dono, says, I remember you guys saying maybe Stotts will coach better because he was on the hot seat. Yeah, he didn't.
We're hoping.
Too stuck in his ways. I don't know if he just didn't care that much, because I was trying to watch his mannerisms when Denver was going on that run in Game 6 and taking the lead, and he just seemed like, okay. All right,
and then
that's
after the
fine.
game, he was like, well, I have 2 years left on my contract.
Yeah, I have 2 years left on my... Yeah. And it was like the second year was a team option, so it didn't count, so it still won, and then he gets fired. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I'm just so glad. Dude, even if we had the same roster, I'm just so glad to be through with that whole journey. And I'm so happy that we got 2 good defensive players off the bench at the 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like... Those are 2 of the 3 biggest issues going into this offseason, right? Like, the third issue is, like, Powell's probably a little better at the 2, and I want to trade CJ for Siakam. That's kind of like the third thing that didn't happen, but I said I didn't really want Melo or Canner back. I wanted better defenders there. We got that. And I wanted a better coach than Stotts, and I fully believe that Chauncey will be that. So that's 2 of the 3 things. That's why I'm just sitting here chilling, excited to go into next season. And I think we got a chip on our shoulder. I think we got guys that play hard, too. Like, Dance and Zeller play hard, man. And Rocco plays hard. Like, I like the individual players we have on this team. So I'm looking forward to next year. I'm excited.
Yep. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It has to do with this topic, so I'll just keep on going with that. So if someone click this, mark it down right now. I want to be on the record. I want you guys to hold me accountable to this.
25 minutes in.
I can't stand all these people talking all this crap right now, is how bad Olshey is, all this stuff. Those guys are going to be gone or making excuses all season long. And this is why. I guarantee right now, September 9th, the Blazers will be a top 4 seed in the West. They are going to be really good this year. They have a good roster that was absolutely held back by their coaching staff and or lack thereof coaching. And if I'm wrong, I'll gladly take the L. I'll be right here on stream admitting I was wrong and that this roster was not good enough and I misjudged it or whatever. But all those other people who are saying all off season that it's not good enough, those people will be nowhere to be found, or they'll say, well, they got rid of so-and-so. Melo and Canner are gone, so Chauncey had an easier job, or all this kind of crap, right? So you'll hear excuses from those guys all season long. But we're actually a good team. This roster is really good. It's not as imbalanced as people say. Yes, like you just said, I'd rather have Norm at the 2, and maybe a little more size up front at the power forward position or whatever. But overall, this is a good roster. There's multiple 20-point per game scorers. There's guys like Nurk who could average like 16, 10, and 5 if he's in the right system. There's good players on the bench this year, efficient players, good shooters. We have some defenders this year. I think we're being vastly underrated by national media and like half the Blazer fans. And we're going to be good. We're just as good as Utah. We're just as good as Phoenix from last year, and we're going to be right there with those teams. And short of an injury, like if we just say, obviously we take the injuries right now, Murray's going to be out a while, Kawhi's going to be out a while.
Klay Thompson probably won't be back till Christmas.
So those injuries, of course, are going to be factored into this. But if all the other teams are healthy, the Lakers are healthy, they're probably the number 1 seed. But other than that, we're right there battling 2 to 4. And I'm not. I truly believe that this roster has been held back by the coaching, and that you're going to see a completely different team this year. And I'm actually, I was kind of bummed for like a long time about not trading CJ, but now I don't want them to trade CJ. Like, please don't trade CJ for Simmons, because I want to shut every one of those people up, and I don't give a crap if if I end up being wrong. I'll apologize. Like I said, I'll hold myself accountable. Like I'll gladly say, you know what, I was wrong. I thought this team was better than it is. You're right, Olshey sucks, and the coaching didn't make a difference. It doesn't make as big of a difference as I thought it did. But people will always come back like, well, you can't just change the coach and win a championship with a crappy team or whatever. Well, I don't think this team is crappy. That's the thing. This team is very talented, and I think they can achieve a lot more than they have. And people talk about like, oh, well, 4 first-round exits out of 5 or whatever. Like, well, that's because we have like crap game plans in the playoffs, and we don't really utilize anything to take advantage of those mismatch. We have to make tough shot after tough shot. And I just believe it's going to be different this year, and hopefully Chauncey can show that. Obviously, if he doesn't do a good job coaching, this is going to be very tough for my my prediction to be true. But I just feel like any coaching staff could have done a better job than what we've seen here. So I'm just on record. I'm glad they're running it back now with the same starting 5. I want so badly just to show everyone what I see from a basketball perspective and how I think this roster is better than other people, and I'm glad we get an opportunity to do so. And if my analyst is bad or it's biased or whatever it ends up being, I will be right back here on the show, and I will not hide from that. I will own it, and so I expect those other people to do the same.
Yeah, I second that. We will be a top 4 seed, in my opinion, assuming that we have a healthy roster next season. You know, if we lose Dame for a stretch of time, obviously that kind of puts things at risk. Like, honestly, if Dame misses more than 20 games and we're the 5th seed, I wouldn't be back here. If I were you saying I was wrong, I'd be saying, well, if Dame didn't miss those 20 games, we'd be the 4th seed. You know,
I just don't want to make excuses, but obviously, if Dame goes down, it's tough to be anything. I think if both Zeller and Nurk go down, we're really thin at center, so that would be the thing. If both of those guys go down, we're in trouble. Yeah. But as long as those things don't happen all at the same time, I think we're fine.
Yeah. Assuming, nothing crazy happens, I think we will be a top 4 seed as well. I mean, I just look at Utah's roster. None of those guys are in the same realm as Dame. None of those, they don't have a superstar. They were the 1 seed last year. They don't have a superstar. They're a really good team, really good defense, great role players. But I really like our role players this year. Mm-hmm. I feel like CJ and Donovan Mitchell's role could do almost exactly what Donovan Mitchell does. I mean, without Dame, CJ averages 28 and 6 or something crazy. He would be looked at as a Donovan Mitchell type player. Now, he's not as good of a defensive player as him, but I just look at the roster. I don't see how you could say Utah has more talent on their roster than we do. I look at Phoenix. The team that made the finals last year took the Bucks to Game 6. And they got Chris Paul, who's going to be another year older. He played a ton this past year. So who knows if that extra mileage from this season takes a toll on him. But I look at Phoenix with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton. I think a fully utilized Nurkic, Damian Lillard, and CJ McCollum, if Dame and CJ are able to improve defensively, which I think they will next season under Chauncey Billups, I wouldn't take Paul, Booker, and Ayton over CJ, Dame, and Nurk. I wouldn't take them over them. And then you look at the role players.
Ayton could have a jump this year.
Ayton could have a jump, but just what we know about him, I'm not taking him. And I don't think that's crazy. And some people act like that's completely crazy. Shoot, Gabe, I don't want to put words in Gabe's mouth, but Gabe from Valley Podcast, which is a Suns podcast, has said he really likes our talent and thinks we're comparable to the Suns. And that's a Suns fan saying that. So I look at their role players. They got Mikal Bridges, Jake Crowder, of course. We got Robert Covington, Larry Nance Jr. Right? They brought in JaVale McGee. We got Cody Zeller. I think Anthony makes a jump next year off the bench. I'm very intrigued to see him. Next season, I'd rather have him than a Landry Shamet. So I don't know. I just look at like those two teams, and I don't think it's that crazy to put us in the same tier as them. Now, if I go to predict the standings, just they are a little bit more proven on that level considering what they did last year. So I will probably have them with a couple extra wins. But I don't know. Like, if you went into last season and said the Jazz are going to be a 1 seed, you would have been looked at like you were absolutely crazy. Yeah. Right? They were a first-round exit
Jazz
the past couple
Suns
years.
Too.
Yeah, they were a first-round exit the past couple years. If you went into last season saying, oh yeah, the ceiling for the Suns is a number 1 overall seed, people would have acted like you were a moron. I think the ceiling for the Blazers is the same as it was for the Jazz going into last year. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be people out there that are saying I'm an absolute moron for that. And that's fine. I will take that. I think we're going to be good this year. I am willing to join you on the record, Eric, in saying that we're at least going to be a top 4 team next season.
Nice. Yep, we got places like ESPN predicting us not to make the playoffs. So we're not even a top 8 team in the West. Mark Stein did his power rankings today. We're 18th.
18th.
It's just dumb. Yeah.
We were below Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
How are we below? Oh my goodness. I don't want to get too worked up about media and how ridiculous they are. They're just ridiculous, man. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. And I am excited to see. And we will have you covered on the post-game shows. And we'll be able to talk about, hopefully, good coaching. I think we'll be able to talk about good coaching. I fully expect that. So I'm looking forward to it. Anime Jake $5 Dono says, I know there is some debate about Coach Bud, but look at the record. The Bucks posted the first year with the same team after Kidd, better results. Budenholzer's just a weird case. I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of off topic, so I don't want to go too much into Coach Bud, but give me your thoughts, Eric.
Well, Bud and Stotts are very similar until last year. And that's because Bud came in with a system that he thought worked. And it had some success. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals, just like Portland got to the Western Conference Finals. But they seemed to underachieve in the playoffs, especially having Giannis and Chris Middleton, stuff like that. So the problem was they just kept running the same system. And it was somewhat smart on offense, let Giannis have the ball or surround him with shooting and go from there. I mean, that is smart to do. But on defense, you can't just run drop coverage as your main base scheme and not game plan it further. And we talked about this all season, how they sacrificed wins, which Torrey was on record all season for the Blazers saying they should sacrifice wins to come up with some better schemes, and maybe it doesn't work out right away, but it'll help us at the end of the season. So the Bucks did that. They spent the entire season trying to come up with some different game plans. And, in the playoffs, it kind of reverts back sometimes to more ISO ball. And, if you have a guy who can't shoot a free throw in a series or something, you're going to struggle at times. But they were more suited to win this year. And now they almost lost anyway in the second round, and we could have been talking about Bud being fired, just like Stotts and all that kind of stuff. But I applaud Bud for at least trying new things this year, and that's where I feel like Stotts lost the Blazers was he didn't even try those things, and so yeah, Bud now is cemented as a championship coach, and can't take that away from him, and he'll probably be in Milwaukee for a long time now.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, I was always kind of high on Bud because I really liked what he did when he was in Atlanta, when Atlanta was like a 1 seed, when they had the lineup of Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, Damari Carroll, Paul Millsap, Al Horford. That lineup was a 1 seed in the East, and they got there because they probably had the best ball movement in the league. Their offense was actually really entertaining to watch. They moved the ball extremely well. They moved players really well. It wasn't an ISO-heavy system whatsoever, and Coach Bud was the coach of that. So I always kind of liked him because of that. It got more stagnant in Milwaukee, so I soured on him. But last year, as you've said, made some adjustments. He's just not a guy who's completely stuck in his ways. He's been able to coach different things, and he's not completely against trying different things, which was one of my biggest issues with Stotts. So I think that's a major thing that separates them.
Yep, and Sherman points out they ran drop a little bit in Game 1, Atlanta. What do? They come out and adjust and take that away. Like they didn't run drop much the rest of the series, and stuff like that, making changes like that in a series. You have to do it. You have to make adjustments. You have to game plan. You have to have a locked-in strategy, both for help defense and on-ball defense, and how you're going to navigate picks and against which players you use that navigation through, and which players you switch on, and then on top of all that, you have to do different things. You can't just do the same thing in an entire 7-game series against one player, or he gets comfortable and knows exactly what shots he's going to get the entire series. So you have to mix it up. You have to change game plans, and it's something that Powell talked about when he came in, being a little weird that we didn't have very intensive game plans for help defense and stuff like that, because he said Nurse would, before the game, go over all the protections and different things like it was a football team almost. And so yeah, I'm just excited to actually maybe see that in action and see these players under a system that actually does make adjustments and changes things around.
Yep. I can't wait, dude. How far away is the first preseason game? I think it's 25 days now. It's less than 4 weeks. We will have the post-game shows for the preseason games. There's only 4 this year, which I'm cool with there being less. Normally it's like the 5th game would be against some European team that they beat by 40, and I don't really care for those games. Like, a lot of times those games aren't even televised. So I'm cool with 4 preseason games. Those post-game shows will be right here on Blazers Uprise Live. So if you're not yet subscribed to Blazers Uprise Live, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And then during the regular season, we will have our post-game shows, as always, on the main channel. And we'll continue with the website content, which Eric touched on briefly earlier in the stream. But if you've been, if you haven't been paying much attention to us lately, it is September, so I don't blame you. We have launched written content on our website, and we, I was just excited, man, because we're giving people a chance to write about the team. We are providing different voices for our platform as Blazers Uprise. We're diversifying content. I'm thrilled about that, so definitely support our writers. It would mean a lot to them. It would mean a lot to me. It would mean a lot to Eric. We're going to try and make things real consistent and provide you with different written content than some of the stuff that's out there, which a lot of it, in my opinion, has a bit of a negative slant to it. Of course, we won't be afraid to put out a piece that's negative. People are calling us the most negative fans of the team last year, right? So we're not scared to speak our mind, but overall, it's not going to be O'Shea hating, that type of stuff. So excited to be able to bring that to you. Just wanted to touch upon that in case you hadn't heard that we have gotten written content underway. The website is blazersuprise.com. Simple.
Yep.
So you want to talk about Patterson?
Yeah, of course. So
what are your thoughts on the signing?
So I'm not a big Patrick Patterson fan. He's okay. However, I really like what the Blazers are doing, and this is the first time that I can remember. I think in the Olsha era, I mean, we've had training camp invitees, but they're always like guys aren't going to make the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that this year we're bringing in guys that have a legit chance of making a roster and are going to come in and fight in practice and kind of push practices to be more intense and stuff like that. So we only have 2 spots, and we now have 3 guys who are all seemingly probably worthy of a contract somewhere in the NBA. Whether that's with us or not is debatable, but you got Marquise Chris, Dennis Smith Jr., and now Patrick Patterson. And heck, I'm in favor of bringing in a couple more too, and just seeing how it plays out, seeing who wins that battle, and we can sign 1, maybe 2 of them. I don't know what the plan is for that, but I'm excited to see how it shakes up with those guys. And what they bring to the team, and if one of those guys can solidify and kind of distance themselves from the other 2.
Yeah, and I did an article on the signing on the website, and I said in that article, like, for a trio of guys brought in on training camp invites, the name recognition amongst them is actually kind of impressive, man.
Yeah,
you got former lottery
training camp deals, yeah.
Yeah, you got former lottery picks and Dennis Smith Jr., who's very well known, was a terrific high school player, has been in a dunk contest. You got Marquise Chris, another former lottery pick, a University of Washington guy. You got Patrick Patterson, an 11-year vet who has been on the Clippers the past couple years, has played for numerous teams and has been, a guy that I feel like a lot of NBA fans have been familiar with. He's not a big name player or anything, but he's been around long enough that NBA fans, I feel like, should be familiar with him. So those 3 guys, the name recognition amongst them is, I mean, it's a lot better than Luis Montero and Tim Quarterman.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Who's the other guy that is like Cam Oliver? And I'm trying to think back to some of the training camp invites we've had in past years, because it's been pretty bad.
Who's the guy who shot the underhanded free throws?
Chinanu Onwaku.
Yeah.
That guy was cool. That guy wasn't a bad player.
No, I know. It's just
Yeah, but he didn't have the name recognition. You know what I mean? So those 3 guys. That's gonna be fun. I'm not gonna do a player profile on those guys, but I will probably drop a video before the first preseason game, just kind of talking about those 3. If you guys want it. Yeah. Who would you... Okay, rank them 1 through 3 in terms of, like, who you want on the team going into the regular season.
Well, I think we need a big man still, so I'd say Chris 1. But I actually kind of sneakily like Dennis Smith Jr., so I'd say him 2 and Patterson 3.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think they will bring in somebody else, maybe a guard, maybe a wing, because they do have 2 open roster spots. So you're talking about 3 guys for 2 spots. They might bring in a 4th guy and make it 4 guys for 2 spots. I wouldn't be surprised to see that whatsoever. So maybe there's a 4th guy we can add to the list, but I agree with that. I have them ranked Chris, Smith, and then Patterson. But here's the thing. Like, I won't be mad if Patterson beats it out. He's a veteran guy. He can shoot the 3. He's an okay defender. He's just, he's a smart vet. And he's, probably a good guy to have in the locker room. So I have no problem with him being the 15th or 14th man on this team. I wouldn't want him in the rotation regularly, but I would trust having him in the game more than I would having Anthony Tolliver in the game.
Right.
Or Mario Hezonja in the game.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I wouldn't be mad either way, but I do have him ranked Chris, Smith, and then Patterson.
Yeah, Patterson's just a solid bet. And I think you hesitated to say this, but technically he was a lottery pick. He was the 14th pick. So.
Oh, I mean, it was 11 years ago.
No, I know, but he's also a former lottery pick.
Well, Shay loves his former lottery picks, man. Who's the best former lottery pick on the free agent market? Like the soonest but best former lottery pick. Chat, maybe you guys can help with this, because I'm trying to predict.
You mean like signing. Still available?
Yeah, still available. Probably the best former lottery pick that's like maybe, a guy who's only been in the league 4 or 5 years.
Ntilikina, yeah, good pull, Trevor Williams.
Is Ntilikina going back overseas, though? Because with those European guys, I feel like they're more likely to do that than...
In a training camp, yeah. Moutier signed in Lithuania, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, but
yeah,
that would be.
thank you, Alex Wolf. Jaleel Okafor was just cut today.
See, if we didn't bring in Patrick Patterson, that's who I'd be calling.
Yeah.
Like that would be like not who I'd be calling as Ultra. That would be my call for who we're gonna sign next because I don't want Jalil Okafor.
Right.
But honestly,
is he number 2 or number 3? Number 2.
He was number 3 because he was behind. Wasn't that the D'Angelo Russell draft? Wasn't D'Angelo Russell 2? Who was 1 in the D'Angelo Russell draft? Why am I blanking on this? You're going to make me look this up because I'm mad that I don't know this.
I got it.
I'm going to beat you to it. The Battle of the Keyboards. I think it was 2015?
Yeah, it was 2015. He was.
Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Jalil Okafor. Look at me go. I forgot Cat, though.
Kristaps, then Mario Hazonia.
Then good old Mario. And then Emmanuel Mudiay, 7. Oh, no. Oh, no, Eric. I know who it's going to be.
No, he already signed.
Stanley Johnson already signed?
Yeah, he signed with
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, he did already sign. Okay, good.
Yeah. Chicago randomly signed like 3 players the other day.
Dude, they signed my guy Kevin Pangos. Yeah. He's finally in the NBA.
That's Cleveland.
That was Cleveland. I'm mixing. I mean, they're both C teams in the Midwest that haven't been good in a while.
Your other guy Hutchison signed with the Phoenix Suns.
Dude, that's such a good signing, man, for a 2-way. That's such a good 2-way signing. I'm kind of mad we didn't bring him in on a 2-way because I feel like we could have because he's cool with Dame.
That's possibly offered, and he just went to the better team.
Yeah, maybe he preferred Phoenix, but I mean that's a great 2-way signing. If he's able to be healthy, he could be a guy that could give them spot minutes on a 2-way contract. So shout out to Phoenix for that signing, man.
Is Trey Lyles on the team right now? I don't think he is.
Say Trey Lyles. He's so blah though.
Yeah,
he's blah. Thon Maker. Chris Dunn's on a team.
Trevin, I just know Torrey.
You know me? What do you mean? What
he
did
said, "How do you know it would be Stanley Johnson?" I was looking right at that name, and I knew that's who you were going to talk.
We were both looking at the draft. I wouldn't mind Justin Patton. If you want to go with the theme of like last year, we signed Harry Giles, who was a former draft pick that we then traded like immediately. Justin Jackson. That might be. I think. Is he on a team?
Was he on Milwaukee last year?
Yeah, but he was on a 2-way, which was weird. I think that's going to be my call. If we sign another training camp invite, my guess is Justin Jackson. What's your guess, Eric? Let's see if we can call another thing. Tim Tebow.
If I'm speaking with my heart, I would say, Hartenstein. Isaiah Hartenstein.
He's like kind of a European guy, though.
Yeah. If I'm speaking with my mind, I'm gonna say, that's tough because I know we're looking at James Ennis, but he's not going to sign a training camp deal. So
yeah.
Denzel Valentine. That was actually a good guess. Dang, I don't know if we're going to sign another one. I have to look at a free agent list.
Yeah, I'm just saying if we do. My guess is Justin Jackson at this point. If that's right, man, y'all better be hyping me up on Twitter. Put your guesses in chat. It is very possible that we don't sign anybody else and we just roll forward with those 3 guys. I just feel like we probably go for a wing at this point. We got a guard in here. We got 2 bigs.
And so that report that said we're looking at those 4 names, one of them was Patrick Patterson, so we signed it. The other one was Hartenstein, James Ennis, and Michael Beasley was the 4th. And I just want to mention Beasley because I would say him, but if we were going to sign him to a training camp roster, we would have already done it. Like, he would have accepted it. And we wouldn't be looking at him. We would have just signed him to the training camp.
Yeah.
So I
yeah.
don't understand that at all. But
Actually, the other guy I would guess is Jerome Robinson.
hmm,
That's my other guess.
former
Lotto pick.
auto pick.
Yep. Jerome Robinson. Justin Jackson or Jerome Robinson are my two guesses. Which is just shots in the dark, so I'll give myself two guesses there.
Ed Davis.
Ed Davis. He's just washed now, though, sadly. He was like an energy big. The problem is, if you're an energy big that's a bit undersized, that doesn't really have a skill set, when you hit 30 or so, you really just kind of become trash, sadly. Because you don't have the same youthful energy as you did in your 20s. And Ed Davis was kind of banged up after leaving Portland, so that also kind of accelerated that process. So he's just a guy I wouldn't even want.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone sign Biombo?
Didn't Charlotte re-sign him?
I don't know.
I mean, but he's like a guy that deserves to be on a roster. Do you think he wants to back up Cody Zeller, but this time Cody Zeller's the second string?
Third string.
Yeah, keep backing up him.
No, I wasn't guessing that. I was just asking if anyone had signed him.
I don't think anybody has, honestly. Which third string center, that would be great, in my opinion. Yeah, he is not signed, so if I'm the Lakers, I would have rather signed him than DeAndre Jordan at this point, probably. I mean, what does DeAndre Jordan bring you? That's such a weird signing, by the way. Like, they're just really trying to stack up on the biggest names. It's like they're playing 2K. And then here's the thing with 2K. 2K, you can like get away with just like signing whoever you want because 2K is just a kind of a trash game, which new 2K dropped. At least here it dropped. What? An hour and a half ago. So shout out to any of you that bought 2K for some reason, even though it's the same copy paste game. I'm not making that same mistake this year. I'm not here to hate on. I'm not here to hate on your decision making, but the less people that buy them when they don't try and really do much with the game, because it seems like they're putting out less and less effort. The less people that buy it, the more they'll put in effort to improve the game. So I'm not giving them money this year, especially not Madden either. I used to be a huge sports game fan. I can't buy sports games now. Little side rant off topic, but yeah, it's funny because like in 2K, when you're playing franchise mode, you're just able to sign guys left to right, big names, whatever. And normally you'd go after the big names if you're playing 2K. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what the Lakers are doing this past offseason. Just going after the biggest names possible, even if they are completely washed. And DeAndre Jordan fits right in.
Yeah, I think I'm actually hoping they waive Marc Gasol because I think he would be a really nice third string backup. And he also is a good passer. You can play the similar way as Zeller and Nurkic. So
well, here's my question for you. Would you play him over Zeller?
No, I probably wouldn't at this stage of his career, but he, played. There was parts of the season last year where he barely played, and there was parts where he actually played a little bit. But I think. I
mean, he shot 41% from three last year, and I don't know, only played 19 minutes, but averaged 2 assists per game. He's been a very good passer. He's like the type of guy who you would have as your third string, but then if Nurkic got hurt, you would like slot him into the starting lineup and just play Zeller a little bit more and play Nance as some small ball 5. Mm-hmm. So if he got released for some reason, which I don't think he will, because he's too big of a name, even though he's kind of washed at this point. But if he got released, man, I would definitely love to bring him in as a third string center that could step into the starting lineup and fit pretty well if Nurkic had some issues.
Yep.
But as far as just other targets, James Ennis is still a guy. Like, I would rather have him than Tony Snell. If we're going to put Tony Snell in the rotation, I'd rather have James Ennis in that spot. He's a better defensive player and had a great year shooting the ball last year. So, do you share that opinion, chat and Eric?
I think Snell's been a little more consistent, so the worry is that some of Ennis's shooting splits were a little. I mean, I hope they're not an outlier, but they could have been last year. Whereas Snell has been consistently not 57%, but like 40% 3-point shooter most of his career. So,
well, here's the thing: like if Ennis struggles, then you just put Tony Snell in his place, but you take the gamble that Ennis is going to be better because I think Ennis is more of a wild card, right? So that's what I would do if possible. Ennis for his career is a 36%er. Snell is a 40%er. So.
Dro, if we just need physicality and don't care who it is, I'd say Kwame Brown over getting J.J. Hickson out of prison.
Wait, what?
He said to get J.J. Hickson out of prison, so we...
J.J. Hickson's in prison?
I believe so. I forgot what he did, but...
What'd he do? Oh, no, man. I never heard anything about that. J.J., I gotta Google that right now.
I forgot. Robbery. I think it was like robbery at gunpoint or something.
That was like 3 years ago. Armed robbery. Bro, why is he armed? Did he just blow all the money he made? Because didn't he get paid a little bit? Like, didn't he earn over like $10 million over the course of his NBA career? That's
probably,
sad, man. That's sad, man. Like, either he still had money and for some reason he's committing armed robbery even though he has a ton of money, or he just blew that all. Either way, it's just, you hate hearing stories like that.
Yep. Him and Telfair, man.
Telfair. Good old Telfair. That happened 3 years ago. I wonder if he's still in prison or what.
I think he got released or got off or something on the technicality or some crap.
Which means he probably had a pretty good lawyer, which means he probably still had money. So, yeah. Huh. I never heard about that, man. Him and Swanigan, man. Hopefully Swanigan's able to get on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could still, like, if he was able to get in shape, he would be a solid EuroLeague player, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He could kind of physically dominate people, and his lack of speed defensively and lack of athletic ability wouldn't be taken advantage as much. It's still crazy that he was playing for us last year. And almost hit that game-winning 3 against Utah after that debacle. He was the one taking the game winner on national TV. Oh my goodness, man. That season, Swanigan, Tolliver, Hazonia, we had some bad players, man. That's the thing. Like, that's why it's nice having a guy like a Chris, a Patterson, a Dennis Smith Jr. Like, because that year was horrible.
But man, if Hood and Collins don't go down, we'd have like Scal, Hassan, Zach as our rotation for bigs, and we would have been fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the problem. It's like one injury, and all of a sudden you're playing guys that are just trash. That's why, like, during that stream, that was our first free agency stream, one of our first streams ever. That's why during that stream, I was like, we're signing Mario? He's trash. We're signing Tolliver? We're signing these guys? Like, they're trash. And I remember, which, like, it's a valid point, and you were saying, well, they're not going to be expected to be in the rotation. They're just going to be fringe rotation players. And it was just like, better hope we're healthy.
Hey, Tolliver did have like 16 in the fourth against the Hornets that one game.
Dude, I mean, I'm not going to say it because Reese will like show up for the first time this stream and say, no, you wouldn't. But I was about to say, I got to have 16 in the fourth. Bro, I had a rec league game today. I finished off hitting 4 for 5 from 30 feet, man. My shot is extremely streaky, but when it's on, I'm hitting. I'm getting back to how it was in college. Community college. We're gonna have some bands coming up for some numbers and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Tolliver got wide open 3 after wide open 3 and made a reverse layup. And he was so happy, man. I like him, good guy. Just and he was on Philadelphia last year too to end the season, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah. They just waived him a few days ago. They were considering keeping him, but yeah.
I don't understand, man. I don't understand. Like, I feel like there's so many guys that never got a chance that could do what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're at an hour into this stream. Been a pretty good stream. Alex Chiefin, no, we're not gonna. I said it's been a pretty good stream. We're not going to go there. All right, I would like to keep it a good stream and not just have to talk about him. All right. Any other like big topics you want to talk about, or do you want to take questions and wrap up the stream?
Yeah, let's take some questions if anyone has any.
Yes, sir. Trevin's asking for my average in high school. I don't remember. It was double digits. And I also would like get suspended for halves for random stuff for like not
What?
shit. Yeah, it was my senior year was I don't know, like I'd miss second period and get suspended for a half, but then somebody else would and they wouldn't, but we were always like better, so we wouldn't lose. Like there would be lots of garbage time against some teams. So I mean, my per 36 in high school was pretty nice. Let's just say that.
Wait, so you wouldn't go to class knowing that it might cost you not playing?
Bruh, class was at like 7:30 in the morning, man.
So?
I've never been a morning person. But, I mean, no, it was just, like, stupid. Because, like, other people would miss class, man. And they wouldn't have anything happen. It'd be like, okay, whatever. So, like, I would miss class and, yeah, I don't know. But, anyway. I had some pretty nice games. But the problem was in high school is 70% of my design touches came in the post. And I could score in the post, but I was 180 pounds. I was going up against guys much stronger than me, a little bit taller than me. About once a game, I would have a set ran for me. It was Tornado, and it was kind of like a flex set. But we would ISO me out of it against these big guys, and I would score on them 80% of the time. I was ISO'd against them on the perimeter. Because I was 180 pounds. I was quicker, and I could shoot. I shot like 40% from three my senior year of high school. So I wish we just did that more, man. I feel like I could have had 20 a game if we just ran that more and put me out on the perimeter. Because I was a perimeter player. I got so many of my touches just came in the post. And, yeah. I mean, I was pretty effective there, but I wish I got to play out on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've never really talked about high school basketball. Throw it back to the OG days of just talking lots of hoops. But, yeah, man, we'll get a pickup run someday. Who knows when it'll be, but we will get to that at some point in the near or distant future, most likely distant.
So, Luis Nunez says, do you think Olshey will actually fill the 15th roster spot this year? Tori and I actually got in a discussion with someone on Twitter today about that.
The guy was saying that they might dump Nurkic to duck the tax at the trade deadline this year. Let's not even bring up that conversation.
Yeah, so what I believe they'll do is sign whoever they end up signing will be on a non-guaranteed contract, which technically Chris is right now, so we would just keep him, I guess. We wouldn't waive him. It might be one, it might be two, but I think we're just going to have a non-guaranteed contract. And the way that works is up until January 10th, you can waive that guy, and then his money isn't paid for the full year. So I think we'll do that. We possibly could do it with two guys and then trade or drop one of them if we need the roster spot. If they're both contributing or good locker room guys or whatever, we might keep both of them past that date because it'd be minimum contracts, obviously. So unlike any other year, I think we'll utilize that this year and just have non-guaranteed guys. And I get why people think we might try to duck the tax, but when you break it down, it doesn't make a lot of sense because, well, one, we took in more money in the Larry Nance trade, which we wouldn't have done if we were trying to duck the tax, because that was our chance. If we're going to trade Derek Jones, you trade him for someone making like $6 million or up to maybe just under $7 million, and then you have a chance of maybe getting under the tax this year. But since we didn't do that, and you can't trade a minimum contract out because you have to sign a minimum contract in the place of that player. So you can't just trade out like Snell and Cody Zeller and all those guys and get $3 million and then go back under the tax because then we'd have to re-sign or we'd have to sign people to those spots. So in my opinion, that means we'd either have to dump Ants outright for like nothing back contract wise and just like a pick or something, or we'd have to trade one of Dame, Norm, CJ, Rocco, Nurk, or Nance, and get back less salary in return. And those are our top 6 players, top 7 if you include Ant. So I don't think we're trading any of those guys just to get
It's
under.
not going to happen because, like, the only way they try and duck the tax is if they're just awful next season. And if they're just awful and they're thinking about just trying to dump a good player to save money, at that point, they're probably just trading Dame. Right? Like, because Dame ain't going to be happy with that, right? Like, and I don't blame him. You know, I think he's staying, because I don't think that's, like, remotely possible that they do that, and I don't think they're going to be bad enough to even come close to considering it, so, like, that's not even a realistic possibility at all in my mind, but it's like, bro, if we're at the point where we're just trading talent to save a little bit of tax, like, that just signals, okay, we're not trying to win, and Dame is gone, like... I don't see any other way that goes. So I don't think we just end up, trading Nurkic to duck the tax. At that point, we're trading Dame. We're trading everybody.
Yeah, there's only 2 scenarios where I think that happens. One you just touched upon, which is unlikely, but say we're fighting for the 8th spot again, and it's February trade deadline, and they're just like, you know what, we've had it. Like, we're not paying the tax for another team that's fighting for the 8th seed and maybe going to be in the play-in game. So I can maybe see them ducking it and just being like, you know what, we tried. Sorry, Dame, it's just not working out. I hope that doesn't happen. As predicted earlier in this stream, I do not think it's going to happen. But in my opinion, the only other scenario would be is if one of those 7 guys gets hurt and he's out for the year, and we have to attach something to get a player that can come in and play, and also get under the tax. So I guess that would be a possibility. Like if Rocco gets hurt and is out for the year, knock on wood that doesn't happen. But like we trade him for someone making $9 million and get under the tax, but that person can play right away. Whereas Rocco, we know, isn't going to play the rest of the year. That's the only scenario I can think of, is to like take on a player who has several years left on his contract since Rocco isn't expiring. But other than that, I can't really see a scenario short of trading CJ for someone who makes a little less than him to get under the tax with trading one of those guys.
Yep. I'm not like focusing on their pocketbook this year. We ducked the tax last year, so we can pay the tax this year. Like, I don't understand why people are worrying that much about it. So in terms of just like, do we use the final 2 roster spots? I don't know. Like, we might just go in with 14. I think it's slightly more likely we go in with 15 because there's no reason not to. Mm-hmm. And it could be a situation like you can keep them until January 10th is unguaranteed contracts, and you can have them on the roster. So it might be a situation we go into the season with 15, and maybe we cut a guy to clear a roster spot as we kind of get closer to the trade deadline, and maybe we don't need them. Maybe we're healthy. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who makes the team. They might sign someone else. It's kind of hard to predict the way the roster spots play out. So I'm not even really going to try to sit here and predict exactly what happens.
Yep.
So,
Mike Posner asked, how do we guard Westbrook, Braun, and AD?
I said this in chat. Pack the paint, make them try to beat you with their jump shooting. Simple.
Well, honestly, Rocco did an okay job on AD last year. And Westbrook is one of the guys I feel 100% confident with Dame guarding. And Westbrook actually will try to take over when Dame's guarding him, and that will work out to our advantage because then he ignores the one guy who we can't stop and who most teams can't stop anyway, so that's LeBron. I'm all for Dame on Westbrook, and just let Westbrook think he's going to take Dame every time and rock the cradle or whatever his stupid little move he does. That's how I think you stop him, is you get one of those guys who's not Braun or AD to think they're going to have a good game and take all the shots.
I mean, I don't even think it has to be as complicated as that. I mean, Davis shot 26% from the three-point line last year. Westbrook shot 31%, right? Like, I like that strategy. I'm not saying shouldn't do it. I like that strategy. I just think it's something where you just pack the paint and then just try and rotate out on their threes, but like not in a situation where you're getting beat off the dribble by rotating out to them, just trying to make their shot, make them think a little bit more about their jump shot. Because a situation where it's like LeBron, the kind of way to beat him is to, hope he has an off shooting night a lot of nights. If he has an off shooting night from 3, and then you have a 26%er last year next to him in Davis and a 31%er in Westbrook, and you just pack the paint, what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Just drive into traffic constantly? And they have the players to maybe be able to do that, drive into multiple defenders and still make something happen. But, that's the thing, man. If LeBron's driving, you got Westbrook out there on the three-point line, you got Davis out there on the three-point line. A lot of times Davis will be, down low as a dunker spot, and you can't just leave him. But if Davis is out there, and most of the time Westbrook will be out there, you just rotate off of them to the guys that are actually shooters, or you rotate to the paint to try and send multiple bodies that are driving LeBron. That's how you deal with them offensively. It's why I think Westbrook is not a great fit there, because he's a guy who will try and take over and take the ball out of LeBron's hands, take the ball out of AD's hands, and he's not an efficient scorer, so that's not a good solution. And then if he's off the ball, if he's spotting up, you can just rotate off him and send more help to an AD or a LeBron. You can double down on AD if Westbrook is on the three-point line on the same side of the floor. So that's why I don't think Westbrook is a good fit. That's why I don't think it was a good move for LA to go out and get him, because I don't think he fits there. So I don't think Westbrook works as the number 1. He's not good enough to win playoff games as a number 1 guy. And as a number 2 guy, number 3 guy, he doesn't really fit that well. So I don't think I'm not that scared by LA.
Well, that's what the Lakers did against Westbrook in the Houston series in the bubble, is they just backed off him and packed the paint, like you said, and just let him shoot themselves out of the game. So, not a bad strategy when you have Westbrook in there.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing, LeBron might be getting injury prone because he's getting up there in age, and he's kind of been a little bit more injured in the past couple of seasons than he has been earlier on his career. We all know AD is, and Westbrook has had some injury issues here and there. LeBron might take a little bit of a step back. Westbrook is an athleticism-based player, and he's, 32 years old, I think? He's 32 years old, almost 33 years old, so, I don't know, man. Everybody's talking about they're the favorites in the West. I'm not worried about them. I think there's a chance, if they're, AD's injured a little bit or whatnot, or LeBron's injured a little bit, I think there's a legitimate chance that they end up 4th or 5th in the West. And last season they were 7th in the West because of injuries. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. People are putting them at the top of the West. I don't agree with it. I think that there's a legitimate chance that even if they're healthy, they're not as good as people think that they're going to be in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I just think it's when you have LeBron and AD and then a bunch of other solid players, it's tough to do worse than last year. So,
but do you think Westbrook makes them better in the regular season?
I think regular season, yes. I don't think they're better playoff-wise. Because, here's why. Because if AD and LeBron get hurt, Westbrook has shown that he can carry a team or at least keep them afloat, unlike at times that happened when AD and LeBron went down last year. So I think he is just good enough to carry that team if they have injuries in the regular season. Now, in the playoffs, it's a completely different story. I hate his game in the playoffs, so I actually think they're a better matchup for us than they've been in previous years. But we still, if AD and LeBron are healthy, it's hard to predict injuries. So if they're healthy, we still have a problem.
Well, yeah, they'll be better if LeBron and AD get hurt than they would without Westbrook. They need Westbrook in case those two guys get hurt. But even if those two guys get hurt, they're still going to, if those two guys get hurt, they're still going to be, at best, a 5 seed if those guys miss significant time. Could easily be a 6 or maybe even a 7. With all of them healthy, I don't think they're better.
We've all been... Blazers have been injury prone too, so I don't like to say another team that, based on injuries, I
know, but that's the point of my question is if healthy, are they better with Westbrook than if they were healthy without Westbrook?
In the regular season, I think they are, just because it'll allow LeBron and AD to rest a little more and not have to carry as much of the burden. And they could just
Yeah,
defer. But I do
that
not
could
think that's
help.
good playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that could help with their energy levels on other possessions, but I think that's a downgrade on those possessions where those guys are resting. Like, those guys kind of dominated things pretty consistently and expended a lot of energy doing so maybe it might play out better in the long run. Those guys might not be as injury prone, might be healthy. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sitting here and saying Westbrook necessarily makes them worse. I just think that, like, a guy like a Buddy Hield would have been a good fit there. I feel like they could have had a better offseason. I felt like Westbrook wasn't the move to make because of the
They had a
playoffs.
transfer Buddy Hield and they backed out and made the Westbrook.
Yeah. So it's just like, and they lose KCP, who I don't know was a solid role player. They lose Montrez, who was solid during the regular season. I don't know. I'm just not high on that trade. I'm not as worried about the Lakers as a lot of people are. Yeah, that's just where I stand on them.
Yeah.
And people say Monk is super underrated. He's had one good year shooting the ball. The other three, he was struggling, and he's still a terrible defender. And outside of three-point shooting, I don't know. It's not a guy who is much of a threat outside of his three-point ball. So he's not a good playmaker, not a good rebounder, not good within the arc, doesn't get to the free throw line much. He is not a guy that I'm really worried about.
But on that team, if all he has to do is shoot, he can become a good shooter, I think.
I mean, he shot 40% last year, so he'll just replace the KCP role shooting the ball, but just be a worse defensive version of KCP, most likely. And he is athletic, so maybe he can be more of a threat in transition, but I don't think that's an upgrade. Monk over KCP, I don't think that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to watch them play, man.
Yep.
We need to have a stream where we just make hot takes about like every team in the league and then go back and see what we were right and wrong on. That would be fun to do. Well, and I'll go back and look at my rankings.
That's basically our standings, right?
Yeah. So that'll be our standings predictions stream, and I'll do my standings predictions video before we do that stream, and then in the stream I'll just give hot takes while you predict your team. I'll give hot takes on your predictions or whatnot, and then we'll like throw our mods predictions up there, and we'll throw all our predictions in an article or something. That's kind of the plan for that. Shout out Gray Hughes investigates $10 dono. There isn't a soul that likes playing with Westbrook. If they say they do, they are lying. Appreciate the $10 dono. I mean, Canner raves about Westbrook, and I don't think he's lying, but I mean, I wouldn't like playing with him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he does pass, but he also doesn't. It's weird, you know?
He's just a guy that, like, dominates the ball, and then he'll drive in deep, and then if he's not able to get a layup, then he'll be like, it's almost like, okay, well, I got past it, screw it, kick out. You know what I mean? It's not like a guy who I feel like is... He gets a lot of assists, but I don't think it's a situation where he's somebody that, like, is consistently trying to set up his teammates. It's more like, okay, go downhill, try and make something happen. If you have to, kick it out, right? Or running a pick and roll, pocket passes there, he'll throw that type of stuff. Whereas, like, if he's playing next to Dame and Dame is hot, I don't think Westbrook is like, okay, I need to try and get Dame more shots. I need to get him good looks because he has it going right now. I don't think Westbrook thinks the game like that.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, I think, like, CJ and Dame do that for each other. So everybody talks about, oh, they're a terrible fit. Yeah. Like, I like that they know when each other has it going, and they're willing to take a back seat and, like, try and help whichever one has it going. Like, try and help each other keep that hot streak rolling, right? If you have a Westbrook in there, he's stepping on Dame's toes if Dame gets hot. I don't know. I don't trust him to look for Dame in that situation.
Yeah. Agreed. Dro asks a serious question. How do you think our inbounds plays will be? That's really hard question to answer without like seeing any kind of game or whatever.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if he like kept the high low or something. Or, like he might keep a couple things that Stotts had in place. I wouldn't mind keeping the high low as a wrinkle to run occasionally on the baseline. The problem is we ran it too much,
so much.
and teams
so
knew it was
predictable.
coming. Yeah. So like if
We
we
knew
had
it
like
was coming.
yeah, in the setup, the floor setup is very obvious. So if he had like the same floor setup and had like three different plays out of the same floor setup, so defenses didn't know it was coming, and that could be an option, depending on what they call, then I would be okay with that, and that might be something he does. I think it's more likely that he just comes in with all brand new stuff, but that is possible. But it'll be fun to look at some inbounds plays and see if we have designed lobs for Nance, Simons. I mean, just the whole playbook in general, we're really going to be looking at this year because it's going to be brand new, and that's extremely fun for me and Eric, who are just basketball nerds, and for a lot of you guys as well who have listened to us talk about Stotts running the same stuff constantly. So that's why I'm just so excited for next season. That's why I'm not sitting here all negative about we didn't trade CJ, yada, yada, yada. I'm just excited to watch the type of basketball we play and what we run and how we defend and what we scheme for.
Mm-hmm. And second question, will our offense be more up-tempo, do you think?
Yes.
I mean, it's hard not to be more up-tempo. Yeah. But yeah, I think that is one of the main reasons we tried to get more athletic this offseason, I think, is because we need to take advantage of those opportunities. We didn't get a lot of easy buckets in transition and stuff like that. So the more easy buckets you can get by pushing the tempo, or the more you can create chaos. And this is what we talked about. There was a point, it was mostly just happened in preseason, when like a Harry Giles would grab a rebound and dribble the ball up the floor. And then the defense is all like confused on who they're guarding and stuff. And you can usually, all you do have to do is run a cut or a off-ball screen or something, and you get a guy wide open who's like a good shooter like Dame or CJ, and it's lights out for those guys. So I think having guys who can push the ball and pass and do those kind of things, I think Billups will also talk to Dame about how he receives his outlet passes and not coming back toward the ball and kind of getting him more on the run towards the other side of the court. And there's just little things like that they can improve on. And hopefully Chauncey being an ex-point guard can help Dame with that.
Here's something I'm wondering that's kind of related to that is Chauncey's been hyping up Nurkic all offseason, right? Mm-hmm. I wonder if Chauncey's going to tell Nurkic to just grab rebounds and push it himself.
That's definitely a possibility. I would like to see it.
I don't know how I feel about that, but...
Well, yeah, I just want to see it in action first. I mean, obviously, Nurk's got to be smart about it if he does it, and he's not that type of passer or playmaker. At least that's not what he's shown, but maybe that's why he's been so frustrated with his role, because maybe that's something that he feels like he could do under Stotts and never was given an opportunity to do it. But that is one thing that makes Jokic so much more dangerous than Nurkic. Even if from like a stationary position, if they were equal passers, Jokic has the ability to put the ball on the floor and to basically play point guard and bring the ball up and stuff. So if Nurk added that to his game, he would be that much better. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to answer those questions without actually seeing the schemes and stuff happen on the court.
I feel like Nurkic needs to get a little bit lower when he dribbles the ball. He's very, very upright. Even when he pushes the ball down the court, he's just very, very upright. Like, if you're running down the court without the ball and you're pushing the ball down the court and you have some traffic around you, the way you run it is going to be different. Because if you're too upright, that's a long distance for the ball to travel from your hand to the floor back up to your hand. That's a lot of time for a small, quick guard to reach in there and steal it. Right? And that's, a longer time before you can have the ball come back to your hand to throw a pass. Right? And like you're not going to be able to handle the ball as well. The thing is, like, Jokic is kind of deceptive with it, but he'll dribble upright, but when he needs to, he's able to get low and kind of like snatch the ball behind his back quickly if somebody reaches for it, or, to set up a pass and whatnot. I feel like Nurkic, it needs to get better at getting lower with the ball so that he's just sharper, quicker with his handle. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, But like I will look at for the player preview series, I will kind of touch on some of those things. So that will be something I touch on in the Nurkic video. That will be a really good video series. And shout out if you're enjoying the top 100 player series right now, which is what I am currently on.
Zach just asked if we're over the tax right now. So we're about 1.3 million under the tax, and to sign someone for a minimum contract is about 1.7 million. So it is basically not possible for us to be less than 3 million over the tax. So we're at least going to be that when we sign whoever we sign.
Yep. Agreed. Any more good questions, or you want to wrap up the stream?
Do you think Nurkic can start hitting threes?
I mean, he's already started hitting threes. Yeah. He was, 12 for 30 last year, 40%?
Yeah. I mean, small sample size, but I think he's more comfortable. I'd rather him shoot a three than like from 15 to 18 feet, like he does sometimes. So he
regressed in terms of mid-range shooting and progressed in terms of three-point shooting. So I just think he needs to shoot more threes. Mm-hmm. That'll make him, if he's able, here's the thing, if he's able to be a little better ball handler, knock down threes, it'll make him so much more of a threat at the top of the arc. Like, because you have to guard him. His defender can't just sag in the paint and maybe clog up what would be a cut from somebody playing off the ball. And if he's able to knock down threes and he's able to catch the ball there, and if a guy runs at him hard, just be able to kind of rip through and attack, and then play make, going downhill in the paint, like, that's just intriguing. And he hasn't really shown that, but I'm hoping that, like, under Chauncey's able to kind of develop that a little bit. Because that's what Jokic will do. You run him off the three-point line, he'll rip through, he'll kind of get by you, and then, he moves at his own pace. He's not even moving quick, but he's already past the initial defender, so you still have to rotate to him, and then he'll pick you apart with his passing, and he's good enough and skilled enough to be able to convert going downhill towards the rim, and he's able to score himself as well. So I'm hoping that Nurkic can kind of add a little bit to that. He has to be a better decision maker. I'll just be intrigued to see if, like, Chauncey tries to foster that in him and have him do those sorts of things, because, like, that would be where he would be unlocking his true potential, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then I just add to that, when he catches the ball, like, going towards the hoop, he's just got to be a little smarter on how he attacks in those situations. Maybe develop some sort of move where he's not just running someone over or a little sidestep or something. But yeah, if he develops those parts of his game, I still think Nurkic has a really high ceiling that hasn't been shown yet.
Yep. Alrighty. Any other questions? Or we're about an hour and a half in.
Do you think Nurk has a chance of being an all-star?
He has a chance. We'd have to be really, really good, and he'd have to be averaging like 17, 11, and 5 assists per game at least. But I think there's a chance of that. So I'm not going to say there's not a chance. That'd be really hard.
It'd probably have to be like as an injury replacement or something by the league. But yeah, I mean, if we're a top 3 seed most of the year, and it's because one of either CJ or Nurkic is having an incredible year, and I definitely think one of those two could be an all-star, but that's tough to just predict that. And there's a lot of good players in the West, so it's hard to find a spot.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
I think that's probably it for questions. Lots of good questions tonight. We will answer more of yours next Monday. We'll definitely make sure to do that in September, since there's not a lot to talk about, but we still had a lot to talk about tonight. We do a pretty good job on the fly without having much to talk about, just having conversations.
You're welcome. Just kidding.
You definitely help with that. You definitely help with that. Thank you. So, I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong, because you're not completely wrong. You're definitely, I don't know. This is a good stream. I enjoyed the stream. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making us a part of your Thursday night. We'll be live again on the 12th of Monday. now, my next 3 top 100 players series, if it gets 1,000 views and 100 likes, I will drop a ramble video. Since you guys love the ramble video, I don't even know what I'd ramble about, so that's why I'm making it like a goal. So if we get those numbers on the next 3 top 100 players videos, I will do a ramble. I don't know what I'm going to ramble about, but everybody's been asking me for one, so yeah, I will do that. Maybe a different location. Maybe I'll do it like outside or something somehow. I don't know.
You won't
Why
burn
not just
or melt or something? Just joking.
Get you. Here I was like letting you brag, right, and complimenting you, and then you're gonna pull that on me, man. That's disappointing. Zach says, "Why not just drop it?" Because I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. Like there is really not much to ramble about. I could ramble about Twitter and yada yada, but like I don't want to do a whole video based on like the fan base and Twitter and that type of stuff. And we just touched upon it a lot tonight. But I'm saying, if you guys show support for that top 100 player series, then I will figure something out for y'all. All right. But during the season, I'll definitely have those at least once every couple weeks.
Well, tomorrow's Friday, so we'll have a Ben Simmons trade to talk about.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think it's time to wrap up the stream. We will catch you again on the 12th. Anything you want to end off with, Eric, that is not Ben Simmons related or talking about me burning if I see sunlight or any type of crap like that?
No, I just appreciate everyone for watching, and thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you Monday.
Yep, sounds good. Appreciate y'all joining us. We will see you then. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.